Nice to see you again, Joanna. Now, I understand that since the last time I saw you a while ago, you went to the hospital again. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened before that?
Yeah, it was a few months ago now. I had done quite well for a number of years and kept my illness under control.
Yes, I don't think I've seen you since your freshman year of college, and you graduated earlier this year.
Exactly. It was quite disappointing to go through it all again, if I'm being honest. It sort of started towards the end of school in late March, maybe early April, I believe. I was getting close to my final exams. I started working really hard. I figured now it was a real time to put my effort in. I began to stay up later, put in more time, and my stress levels sort of started to increase. I began drinking a lot of caffeine, coffee, energy drinks, whatever I could get my hands on. The environment of that time, everyone was pushing themselves.
I believe those are rather normal feelings to go through, especially during final exams. I know I felt a similar way and felt that pressure when I was in school. How did that affect you?
I feel like in the beginning, it kind of increased my confidence. I wanted to do very well. I was becoming a lot of I was becoming more productive and working harder. My momentum was building up through this period. I was relishing in it.
What did what did it mean to you at that time? It sounds like you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You worked so hard throughout school, and this was your last push. What did it mean to you to feel more awake and energized during this time?
It felt like this was my time to shine. I started to grow into and took opportunity to enjoy who I was becoming. The worst of it did not come until afterwards. I was still able to function through my exams. I have since found out that I didn't get the results that I wanted though.
Why do you think that was?
I thought that I was working hard and I was pushing myself, but I misjudged myself. I didn't perform to my best abilities and I didn't achieve the grades that I wanted.
Was there anything else going on during this time? You talked about the pressure of your exams and staying up. Was there anything else going on during this time?
Well, it was the end of college. As soon as this period of hard working stopped, I was let off the leash, you could say. There was nothing else to do suddenly. When the exams stopped, I just couldn't stop my habits. And I had to replace them by replacing my meals with caffeine and not sleeping much. I had grown into the person that I thought was the person that everyone wanted me to be and act like. In my head, everyone loved me like this, so why would I stop all of a sudden?
So this was the period of time after your exams, but before you got your results.
Correct. And I went out a lot during this time, practically every night. Instead of staying awake to study, I began to stay awake to drink and become this untouchable party animal.
You said that you were still taking coffee and energy drinks multiple times a day and would substitute these for your meals regularly.
True, I think it developed and kept getting worse.
How did this affect you?
I felt at that time I was invincible and I was the person that everyone wanted to know. I was putting myself at the center of the universe. It's the role I spent. In this role, I spent the most money in coffee, alcohol, clothes, and shoes.
It sounds like this began with the pressure of your exams and putting more pressure on yourself to stay awake. Then you started to feel like you were more popular and successful in your social life as well. How did you respond and cope with these symptoms once they began?
Having not to deal with my bipolar disorder throughout school and not be a part of that world for a while, I didn't confront my symptoms in any way that would be effective long term. I started with doing all this to accomplish the work that I needed to do. I felt that this was what I needed to do in order to accomplish my goals. Then I just let it take a hold of me. It wasn't the illness, it was me. Everything that happened was because of me and my own doing.
You said that on one hand, you didn't really confront anything and you just kind of let it roll. On the other hand, you took it as evidence that you were energetic and all powerful, and this is who you were meant to be. How did that affect you looking at it in this way?
I think it was my time. I had been leading to this moment of becoming this person. All of the hard work that I did, all of the work that I did, been doing, and my parents had done for me, it was all now coming together.
So it felt like you were on the brink of something almost promised from the sound of it. Going back to the beginning stages of staying up and using caffeine as your crutch, how much sleep were you getting?
I think over time it gradually diminished. It began maybe 5 to 6 hours and ended up probably being only 2 to 3 hours a night.
Did you notice anything, any changes with getting less sleep? Maybe in your body or the way you were thinking?
Well, I think the harder I was working, the faster my brain would work. The harder I worked, the more I would do. The momentum was building, my mind was firing, and my goals were stronger. My determination was definitely bigger.
How did your body feel? Did you notice any changes in your body physically?
Not that I can recall. At this time, maybe I was avoiding confronting any negative effects, but nothing memorable comes to my mind.
Okay. Now, once exams were over, you talked about going out quite a bit. Was there anything else that you normally wouldn't do, and now looking back, could have been a sign to you that your mood was elevated and much higher than you would have liked it to be?
Well, I had a lot of savings that my parents had built up for me. I spent it all though. It's all gone now. I spent it on clothes for going out, alcohol for going out, and caffeine to keep me awake long enough to be out. I had a boyfriend at the time, but I wasn't the main character in a sense, so I was the only one that mattered. Those around me did not have much importance. If others, like my boyfriend, were with me, I forgot about them because they just didn't matter.
How do you feel about that now, looking back on all of it?
I think it's the moments that show you that it's not just about me, it's the closest people to me that suffer the most, and that brings a lot of shame to me.
I can see how hard this topic is to reflect on, and I appreciate you trusting and sharing with me this time and period in your life.